Let's explore the best forgiving technique nobody uses. This morning's lesson is drawn from a good-hearted question found on Reddit. It begins, how do you move on from a person who hurt you deeply emotionally but never apologized or acknowledged it? So before we go any further, I'm just going to put my 2 cents in right off the bat. If our healing is dependent upon the contrition of our emotional assailant, we make of ourselves their slave. And we take whatever damage they've done to us and multiply it. Which is why it's imperative to use a system to move on from them and what they've done that is independent of their heart or their mind. The individual asking the question continued. I'm finding myself ruminating a great deal over a man who hurt me quite badly 2 years ago, and who then came back into my life this year for reasons he never explained, only to leave again. In the short term, rumination is natural. In the long term, rumination can be a symptom of a larger order situation. As one who struggles with both autism and ADHD, rumination is just par for the course. Does that mean everyone who encounters me is neurodivergent? Most likely not. But if it persists for more than 6 months and just rumination becomes a lifestyle, not just for that one person, but for other things and other people as well, then you may wish to be evaluated by someone whose specialty is neurodivergence. Not someone who took a weekend seminar, but someone whose bread and butter is the diagnosis or the evaluation and or treatment of neurodivergence. Now, if this is a one-off and you typically don't ruminate about anyone or anything else, then just forget what I've said. For me, I found that I'm just wired for rumination. And I can forgive a scenario or a person, and just another one will take its place. And if there is no real one, then a fictitious one will. A what-if category of scenarios. Once again, that is just how many neurodivergents are wired. But let's continue. I never received closure from this person, and I still struggle internally with questions about why he behaved the way he did, or the way they did, or what I could have done differently to prevent it. These questions pave the path of madness. Whether we know it or not, we ask these questions as a manifestation of our controlling tendencies. Please don't beat yourself up. We all have them. We all have controlling tendencies. Just a question of to what degree they are in charge. I know I've fallen into that trap myself. In my past, I would lose my mind, exhausting myself, trying to figure out how I could have prevented it. But allow me to remind you what you already know. Neither you, nor I, nor any other sentient being is the real or imagined all being master of time, space, and dimension. We do not have the ability to whip out the Jedi mind trick and bend people to our will, even if our will is benevolent. You know, like be wise, be loving, be kind, be gentle, be respectful. We cannot do that. And if we do, it will create more harm than good. It's frustrating to know that we are out of control of things that can hurt us, but you and I are also out of control or unable to control the weather systems to a large degree, earthquakes, landslides. So there are circumstances out of our control. There are things in our body, processes out of our control. You can eat a whole food vegan diet. You can exercise wisely and sanely and sustainably and still grow old and grow sick. I'm reminded of a line from a Star Trek movie, "Time is the fire in which we burn." As I gaze at my image in the mirror, clearly I'm resembling a melting candle. Not nearly as pretty as I was when I was 19. Oh, so many decades ago. In fact, 40 decades ago, 40 years ago, I was prettier. So, let's continue. So we cannot control our physical situation. We cannot control people. Though try we might. We can't control people who want to be controlled by us, no less those who don't. And the best we can do is create a analog of control which poisons us and poisons them. We cannot control which thoughts we think, which perceptions we perceive, which emotions we feel, which intentions spontaneously pop up like a whack-a-mole. We cannot control what flights of fancy or things that we recall. Trying to control them multiplies our neurosis like bunnies in the springtime. Well, I spoke recently to a therapist who is a friend of my partner, and she was telling me that the latest trend in counseling is acceptance. At long last, psychotherapy is catching up to the Buddha. So, control is an adolescent power fantasy. Like the musings of the adventures of Walter Mitty. Let's continue. So, if our peace depends on finding order where there is chaos and finding logic where there is none, in controlling that which cannot be controlled, then we will forever be holding our peace hostage, an abused prisoner in a cage. The way this person treated me still seems illogical, and I feel like I'm still waiting for a sense of clarity that I'll likely never receive. That's very insightful of you. I've gone to therapy regarding this situation and have my own career path that I'm focused on. But this person is constantly in my thoughts still. I want to make new friends and meet new people, but this experience has made me terrified to put myself into the world again. So, in my amateur opinion, knowing scarce little, only inferring from that which you said, it sounds like, and forgive me for stating the obvious, it sounds like you've been traumatized by this. Whether the person was malicious or ignorant or both, it sounds like they traumatized you. So, I have some strategies in mind. Let's continue. Can meditation assist in letting go of these kinds of painful experiences? Yes. There are two ways to do this. We can do this in terms of resentment, or we can do this in terms of trauma. If you're dealing with some form of PTSD or CPTSD, and of course I'm assuming that you've already worked with some therapists, then there's a book by a psychologist I recommend to you titled Walking Your Blues Away by Dr. Tom Hartman, PhD. And he tries nobly to explain Buddhist walking meditation in terms of neuroscience and neurolinguistic programming. And he does a good job. Between you and me, it's very simple. Take a brisk walk. If you're in turmoil, just walk around your block. That way you won't get lost, you won't walk into traffic, you won't get hit by a car quite as easily as if you just went on a walkabout like Crocodile Dundee. Yes, I am that old. So, so we will explore that right now. While walking briskly around the block, as you inhale, you can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. As you perceive whatever you perceive, be it sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, or the like, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings, whether that which you perceive is the external or the internal, the physical or the mental, the pleasurable or the painful, the interesting or the boring, the glorious or the grotesque. Simply give yourself permission to notice it. As you exhale, please silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. Doing so will set space for you to release, if not completely, then at least fractionally. And with each inhalation, with each exhalation, you can find yourself relaxing more and more. This isn't really here, but in this region here is the hippocampus. And it kind of acts like a doorman at a dance club, at an upscale dance club. And unless your name's on the clipboard, he's not letting you in. Similarly, turbulent emotions are not allowed in. Hence, if they're not stored by the brain as long-term memory, regardless of when they occurred, they are experienced as occurring now. Even if they occurred 10, 15 years ago, or 20 or 30 or 50 years ago, they're still experienced as now, until they're processed by the hippocampus. Brisk walking while silently, mentally, and passively reciting this ease can help. I'm not sure what your fitness level is. Clearly, I'm neither a physician nor a psychic, but you could start 5 minutes twice a day, then build 10 minutes twice a day, then 15 minutes twice a day, then 20 minutes twice a day, until eventually you're at 60 minutes twice a day. Not only will your body thank you, but your mind will as well. The philosopher Nietzsche said, never trust an idea that did not occur to you during a long walk. So this can really help us process trauma. For garden variety resentment, this will work too, but there's also another fun thing you can do. And this is modeled on kitty cat behavior. Kitty cats will often get the zoomies, and then they'll sit very still and just bliss out. We can do the same thing. If we find ourselves in rage or resentment, we can knock out some squat thrusts, and there are, physician's approval, of course, assuming you've received your physician's approval and you've learned how to do squat thrusts from one of many YouTube fit instructional videos. I like to do them outside in the garden in front of a Buddha statue because I'm funny that way. And then I like to sit in meditation and basically do the same thing as walking meditation. The goal is not to actively concentrate. The goal is not to actively analyze. The only way to do that is to utilize certain structures, such structures as the medial prefrontal cortex or the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is a lovely tool, but it can be overused. Few things are as dangerous as a man armed only with a hammer, for he will view all problems as nails. Similarly, overusing our prefrontal cortex will strain it and cause our amygdala to light up, exacerbating our anxiety and aggression, feeding our resentment and the profundity of the trauma it has induced in us already. If you're as dumb as I have been in the past, which is unlikely, but if it is the case and you ignore the symptoms and keep pushing forward, overusing and abusing your prefrontal cortex, eventually you could present with symptoms of depression, just as a result of exhausting your prefrontal cortex. Please don't do this. Don't make the mistake that I have made in the past and that countless others have made. So then, if neither active concentration or active analysis is the key to our sitting meditation, what are we to do? Simply this. Let us begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are accessing our sympathetic nervous system found in the center third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to support both. Let's try this again. This bad boy has evolved to support perception that is vulnerable and passive and visceral and random. Can you see the difference between active analysis or active concentration versus passive, vulnerable, visceral, and random? If those functions of the prefrontal cortex are yang, then these functions of our sympathetic nervous system are yin, which was lauded by the author of the Tao Te Ching. Now, allow me to give you some bad news. Perceiving all these sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, perceiving all these emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings can be stressful. But here's some good news. Meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we are already wired by evolution to effortlessly and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower third of our spinal cord, as well as the upper third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. And so just sitting there for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes, surfing our breath, silently mentally reciting this during our inhalation and ease during our exhalation, can help us to process. If you still feel like you are cooking in your own juices after 15 minutes, then go back. Just repeat the whole process again. Knock out a few squat thrusts, then sit in meditation. It's like a cat doing zoomies and then sitting very still, doing zoomies and sitting very still. Oh, the lessons we can learn from our feline companions. I'm sorry, our feline overlords, if we're to be accurate with that. Anywho, this can really help. So whether it's trauma and you choose walking meditation, or it's just resentment and you're choosing to alternate between, to use the kitty cat protocol of alternating between squat thrusts and sitting, either is beneficial. I do look forward to practicing with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This morning, I think it could be fun to play with the latest iteration of the sadhana version of the Song of Enlightenment, written by Yongjia Xuanzhui. All apologies to the entire language of China. Translated by Red Pine in his book Zen Roots. It has been subtly adapted and amplified by yours truly. Let us begin by setting intention as we chant Love and Letting Go's wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. So what we're doing is not praying. We're just using words to guide our intention. May all minds clear yet and permanent be as joyfully enlightened as our Buddha's mind. May all relationships resounding yet and permanent be as peacefully loving as our Buddha's speech. May all bodies sensual yet impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. May all circumstances appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. And now we come to the main attraction. Please chant with me the first verse, the first of 60 plus verses. Don't worry, we're only going to do like 4 verses today. Do you not see apparently idle followers of the way, not actively study, not actively apparently be... Woof, let's try this again. Not actively studying, not apparently busy, not actively getting rid of delusions. This is not chanting easy, so I'm going to do a quick edit to remedy that situation. That it might more easily come trippingly off the tongue. Let's try this again. Do you not see apparently idle followers of the way? Not actively studying, not apparently busy. Not actively getting rid of delusions, not actively looking for the truth. The true nature of their ignorance is the same as their aware, laid back and loving Buddha nature. Their illusory empty bodies or their Dharma bodies of the mastery of awareness and release. And let's go through it a second time. Do you not see apparently idle followers of the way? Let us explore the great paradox. The true followers of the way appear far less busy than their foolish counterparts. Not actively studying, not apparently busy, not actively getting rid of delusions, not actively looking for the truth, relying neither upon pseudo-intellectual drudgery nor superstitious blind faith or ritual, neither shoving at delusion nor reaching for so-called truth. Let's chant. The true nature of their ignorance is the same as their aware, laid back and loving Buddha nature. Their illusory empty bodies, or their Dharma bodies of the mastery of awareness and release. Noticing the turmoil of their minds, as well as the cravings and aversions of their bodies as they inhale. And then relaxing into their non-graspability as they exhale. Enlightenment is attained, spontaneous, carefree, and at ease. Let's meditate. We turn now to the second verse. The Dharma body they realize does not include a graspable thing. Their original nature is the primordial Buddha's awareness, letting go and love. The mastery of awareness and letting go, toward which so many strive, is as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although can be tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the hand. The mindfulness and meditation, as well as love-centered spontaneity they generate, are latent within their central nervous systems, and is all that is required to master the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Their Dharma body they realize does not include a graspable thing. Their original nature is like the primordial Buddha's awareness, letting go and love. It is as if the five skandhas... It is as if the five skandhas of form, feeling, intensity, impulse, and awareness were as non-graspable as clouds floating aimless in the sky. The three poisons of hating, craving, and clinging like mere bubbles are appearing then gone. Oops. Although our form, sensation, perceptions, memories, and consciousness could seem substantial as we breathe in, they could feel as non-graspable as clouds as we breathe out. The same hating, craving, and clinging that could seem internal and insurmountable as we inhale, could feel utterly fleeting, temporary, and evanescent as we relax into our exhalation. Let us chant the third verse. Seeing what is real during the perceptive inhalations, but not as graspable persons or things. During the relaxing exhalations, they instantly quench the fires of hell. Although inhalation could perceive persons and things, the relaxation of exhalation could release them. That is what frees us from the tyranny of karma, real or imagined. Seeing what is real during the perceptive inhalations, but not as graspable persons or things. During the relaxing exhalations, they instantly quench the fires of hell. Meanwhile, those who deceive others with lies denigrating Buddha's quick path deserve to spend kalpas in hell having their tongues torn out. Ironically, while the truth of perception and release liberates us from hell, real or imagined, the harm generated by bad teachers pales in contrast to the harm they create for themselves. For the two rules of conventional perception and ultimate release, for the two truths of conventional perception and ultimate release are crucial. Seeing what is real during the perceptive inhalations, but not as graspable persons or things. During the relaxing exhalations, they instantly quench the fires of hell. Meanwhile, those who deceive others with lies denigrating Buddha's quick path deserve to spend kalpas in hell having their tongues torn out. Hey, Jay, what do you say? So I spy with my little eye a very good question. What does one do after an ego hijack that hurt his partner? Excellent. Excellent question. Let's not call it an ego hijack. Let's just say that it is a you fell under the thrall of an unbalanced dopamine system. That's far less mysterious and far less spooky. By meditating twice a day, by meditating once every 12 hours, by practicing mindfulness and meditation every 12 hours, you will grow in centered spontaneity. The more your centered spontaneity, not your scattered spontaneity, but your centered spontaneity, guides your choices, utterances, and deeds, the more sustainable it will be for your partner and everybody else to have you in their life. Allow me to remind you what you already know. Life is not a gumball machine. Do you remember the Mickey Mouse gumball machine when we were kids, advertised on television, where the kid would stick a penny inside the gumball machine and twist it, and out would come a gumball, and the kid would say, "Thanks for the gumball, Mickey." We cannot buy and sell love or forgiveness. Nor do we have to beg for them or earn them. If your partner loves you, then they will rejoice in you flowing from centered spontaneity. If your partner doesn't love you, then you can be the Buddha himself and it won't matter. Let's talk about fear and let's talk about self-forgiveness. As we sit in meditation, we can notice, so many times when we have played the fool. Everybody has played the fool. Just like that song from the early 70s. Everybody's played the fool. Everybody's been hurt. Everybody hurts others. It sucks, but that's just how things work. Despite how big and buff our prefrontal cortex is, we cannot talk ourselves out of what we feel, the guilt and the fear. But we can notice it vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly as we breathe in. And we can relax into it physically and mentally as we breathe out. And like a person with a hunk of wood off the coast of Hawaii who cannot control the ocean but can learn to surf the wave. Similarly, by noticing and releasing, we are able to make peace or feel peace in the light of folly. Feel peace in the light of the fact that everything changes all the time and we are not in control of our circumstances or our bodies or other people's choices or our own inner workings of our brain. We can just choose to notice and release and surf the present moment. We can learn a lot from watching kitty cats. What do kitty cats do after a nap? They yawn and stretch, they blink their eyes, and then they get the zoomies and they run around, tear-assing around the apartment. If you have shag carpeting and you have cats, you know the sound of claws just tearing into the shag carpet as they have the zoomies all around the apartment. And when they've had enough zoomies, they stop and they sit impeccably and they just groove. We can do the same thing. We can knock out some squat thrusts, maybe in front of a statue of a Buddha or an image of a Buddha, not mysteriously, just because it's inspiring. Just because it's inspiring. And then we can sit for 10 or 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, noticing and releasing, and either we continue with our day or we do it again. Knock out a few squat thrusts, sit for a while, and so on. And doing so, alternating between physical exertion and physical sitting, alternating between passively watching and passively releasing, helps us to work through all the folly we have generated. So, forgive my pronunciation, I mean no disrespect. Vaishnavi Kunwar. Hey, what do you do? Thank you, Kevin. That's because Kevin is awesome. All hail Kevin. So getting back to Vaishnavari, I think I threw an extra R in there. I meant no disrespect. Let's get with the question. Hey, what do you do if your past actions of hurting someone is hurting you? And I'm having trouble reading this here. Having trouble. Okay, let's try this again. Hey, what do you do if your past actions of hurting someone is hurting you and you feel that you have hurt them because of your anger and irritation towards them? Excellent question. I just answered that for Jay. It's the exact same answer. And so you may want to drag the progress bar a little to the left, because I try not to repeat myself too many times within 5 minutes. But you ask a good question and you have a good heart. And so together as a team, let us do a bit more chanting. I'm going to tap button 9. Thank you, Mr. J. Thanks for the gumball, Mickey. Okay, here we go. Let's chant. Instant understanding is thus come when taught to Kata meditation. Every practice and perfection is present in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. With the wisdom of mindfulness latent within our sympathetic nervous system, the wisdom of meditation pre-installed within its parasympathetic counterpart, and empathy part and parcel of our anterior cingulate gyrus, we are already wired to master no less practice. the Eightfold Path. Instant understanding is thus come one Tathagata meditation. Every practice and perfection is present in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. By the way, thus come one is one of the many nicknames for the Buddha. The six paths of existence look real in a dream. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. Like the vivid experiences of a dream that vanish upon waking. So every facet of experience could feel incorporeal as we relax into our exhalation. Instant understanding is thus come one Tathagata meditation. Every practice and perfection is present in your body's tissues that facilitate awareness and release. The six paths of... This is a tongue twister. The six paths of existence look real in a dream. Once you're awake, the whole graspable universe is gone. So, quick like a bunny, I'm going to take a photograph so I know what page to begin on during tonight's live stream. Let's see. Let's go over here. Let us seal this morning's practice by chanting love and letting go's wishes for universal enlightenment and well-being. May all minds of all beings clear yet and permanent be as joyfully enlightened as a Buddha's mind. May all relationships of all beings resounding yet and permanent be as peacefully loving as a Buddha's speech. May all bodies of all beings sensual and impermanent be as beautifully healthy as a real or imagined Buddha's form. May all circumstances of all beings appearing yet impermanent be as safe and abundant as a real or imagined Buddha's land. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours or so, I would very much like to return to today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.